Opus 4.8 can now run 1,000 AI agents at the same time, point them at one problem, and have them argue until they get it right. Someone used it to rewrite an entire programming language, 750,000 lines of code in 11 days. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what changed, why it matters, and how to run it yourself live. Let's go. I'm Amadou. I build AI agents for real businesses, so I only care about one question. Does this change what I can ship? And short answer, it does. So, number one, starting with speed and cost, fast mode now runs about 2.5 times faster and costs 3 times less than last month. Frontier intelligence, near instant at a fraction of the price. And moving on to number two, honesty. Opus 4.8 is the first Claude model to score 0% on confidently reporting wrong results. The last model got wrong a quarter of the time, and overconfidence dropped tenfold. So it now flags what it isn't sure about instead of just bluffing. And number three, and this is the big one, dynamic workflows. The thing that lets it run 1,000 agents at once, that's what we're building with today. Faster and more honest, and it stopped working alone. Those are the three new improvements to Opus 4.8, and now the why. Speed is nice, but if you put AI in front of clients, the scary failure was never slow, right? It was confidently wrong most of the time. And the agent invents a statute, for example, misquotes a policy, says it with total certainty, and a human copies it straight into a document. Opus 4.8 checks out its own work and tells you what it isn't sure of. The difference between a junior that guesses to look smart and a senior who says, verify this before you send it. Fast and wrong is usually a liability, and this release finally took wrong seriously. Till now, Claude Code gave you one agent, one brain working step by step, which is fine for small jobs and useless the moment the job is big. Migrating a database, for example, or auding a code base, or even a stress test to plan every angle. One agent runs out of room and context, and dynamic workflows are the solution to that. Claude writes its own orchestration script. It becomes the project manager and fans the work across up to 1,000 sub agents, with 16 running at the same time. Each hits its own problem from a different angle, and others try to disprove them and until it iterates until the answers finally agree. So proof and example, someone ported the Bun runtime to a new language with 750,000 lines of code, with 99.8% of tests still passing in 11 days. The single agent isn't dead because it's bad. It's dead because now you've got thousands of them. So comparing 4.7 to Opus 4.8, across the SWE Bench Verified Pro and also Bench 2.1 metrics, we're seeing that there is a small incremental gain in the ability for Opus 4.8 to have some sort of criteria to measure against. But I think even though these are smaller incremental changes and improvements, over the span of 1 to 2 years, these gains will continue to stack and add up, where we see a noticeable difference across what the old retired model version was versus what the up-to-date model is. And then looking at how do you actually run this. So first, when you open a Claude Code terminal, you want to make sure that you're using the latest up-to-date model. So that's 4.8, right? So using the slash command model, it naturally should already open up to the new latest model, but you can select if it's not already there. And then depending on what the task is, how big or large, then you can use workflows. And I found that using just workflows without the slash command still picks it up, but you can still use slash workflows to pick up the command regardless. And then signaling the amount of effort that you want to use. So depending on the task, it is able to determine how many agents to provision based on the size of the code repo and just the task at hand. But ultimately, you can still decide what effort you want to put forth. So I'll walk through an example of how I use this in an existing project that I created. So I started off using the model command to make sure I was in the right up-to-date model, then using workflows without the slash command. And then it was able to, I chose to review the current diff of the project, and then it was just able to go through all the folders at once. And then it provisioned a certain, like I think 3 agents to go through the whole thing. And then once the diff was fully scoped, it showed everything that was in the review of the workflow, and then across the 4 different dimensions of correctness, security, client server contract, and also simplification of dead code. It also just did all that, and then it gave me at the end a detailed report of everything that I should be including in next steps of how I can improve this current code base. So to recap in one line, Claude Opus 4.8 is faster, more honest, and you're not building with one agent anymore. You're directing 1,000. Tell me in the comments what's the biggest job you'd point 1,000 agents to. If this was useful, a like helps, and a subscribe for the next breakdown the day those drop. I'll see you in the next one.